And so we're going to look at John chapter 2. The Bible says on the third day there was a wedding at Cana of Galilee, and the mother of Jesus was there. Jesus also invited to the wedding with his disciples. When the wine ran out, the mother of Jesus said to him, "They have no wine." And Jesus said to her, "Woman, what does this have to do with me? My hour has not yet come." And his mother said to the servants, "Do whatever he tells you." Now let's stop for a moment. Jesus is not being disrespectful to his mother. It's not, the statement woman is not a disrespectful. This is a clear boundary of Jesus starting his ministry, of Jesus stepping out. Think about it. Jesus would have been the perfect child. Scriptures tell us that Jesus never sinned, which means he's the perfect child. Now, he may not have performed miracles yet, but clearly, if ever you got a phone call tonight saying one of your kids was in trouble or they were in jail, Jesus wouldn't be the one. Other kids maybe, but not that one. And so this is Jesus declaring who he is. Mary was only going to get to heaven if she put her faith in Jesus as Savior. And so this is not a rebuke. This is the start of his public ministry. And there's a step of faith here where she's saying, well, whatever he's going to do, he can do. Because he's always done it. I'm not sure. Mary maybe have known that he was going to perform a miracle. I don't know if she did or didn't. Verse 6, it continues on and says, "Now there were 6 water jars, therefore the Jewish rite of purification, each holding 20 to 30 gallons. Jesus said to the servants, 'Fill the jars with water,' and they filled them up to the brim. And he said to them, 'Now draw some out and take it to the master of the feast.' So they took it. And when the master of the feast tasted the water, now become wine, and did not know where it came from, though the servants who had drawn it, the water knew, the master of the feast called the bridegroom and said to him, 'Everyone serves the good wine first, and when the people have drunk freely, then the poor wine. But you have kept the good wine until now.' This, the first of his signs or miracles, Jesus did at Cana in Galilee, and manifested his glory, and the disciples believed in him." As you think about this, one of the interesting facts is the very opening verse says, "And the third day there was a wedding." In a Jewish custom, weddings normally took 7 days. Basically, they celebrated for 7 days. So when we think about having to put a wedding together for a daughter, 1 day. In a Jewish custom, 7 days. So they had to do it much longer. They had to provide food and drink and all of those things. The big deal here is if you run out of wine on the third day, in the Jewish society, you're going to look bad. And it was something that you really didn't want to do because now you would be looked down on. And having good standing in the Jewish society was a big deal. It could hurt your reputation. If you were a business person, it might hurt your business. Because people would look at you and simply go, "Oh, if this is what you do at the wedding, this is what you're going to do here." So they looked at you in a very negative way if you didn't provide. Mary knew that. She understood that what was going on, what was going to happen to this family if there was no more wine to be served, everybody would have looked at them in a negative way. Most churches, when they have a fellowship, one of the last things they, and I know not everybody does, but a pastor always fears this, running out of food, especially for a Baptist. You know, if you're going to be a Baptist, if you don't have a crock pot, you can't be a Baptist. It's just a necessity. Got to have a crock pot, you know, so you can cook. Bigger the better. Obviously, Baptists like to eat. And so it's one of those things where I always feared of running out of food. I always had somebody that I normally had given $20 or $30 and said, "If it looks low, go to churches. Just go buy chicken. Mashed potatoes, bring it back. We're not running out of food." So it was a big deal even back then, and more so than it is even today. So running out of wine would have been a really bad thing to have happen. So Jesus is involved here. Mother says, whatever he does. Now here's the point I want to make. It's interesting where he does this. At a wedding. You realize at the end of creation, what did God do? At a wedding. The first wedding. Adam and Eve. I believe without a shadow of a doubt, a marriage is a miracle. I think it's the greatest institute that's ever been created on earth. I am grateful for being married. I love being married, love my wife, but I also have to realize it's a miracle. Because when I look at my wife and think about how God brought us together, I'm going, yeah, this has to be a miracle. Because, you know, sometimes they say you're on the other side of the fence. I was on the other side of the continent. I mean, we're just, you know, like night and day. My wife was a goody-goody. She had no idea, you know, she was never spanking in her life. Never got a spanking. I, on the other hand, was in such a way that when my dad would bring the belt out, it would go, hey, we should have seen you last week. And so we were totally different. I was in trouble and, you know, got myself in trouble. I will admit, it was always my sister. No, it's my fault. I got myself in trouble. I understand that. We were totally different when it came to education. My wife cried when she got a B. My family threw a party if I got a B. Just totally different. I mean, there's nothing that was of the same thinking between us. When I look at this, I'm going, okay, the only reason we got married is God was involved. And truly, God opened my eyes like this. And he blinded my wife's eyes for a period of time so she would marry me. And then he opened them and she's like, marriage is a miracle. And Jesus decides to take the Old Testament miracle and say, let's have my first ministry. My first starting of my public ministry with a marriage. Clearly, marriage is under assault today. Many different ways. A lot of them we know about, but I want to just mention one that I think we sometimes forget about. That actually scares me a little bit more than all the lifestyle aspect. It's what marriage is. See, I've married lots and lots of people, but I've also told people I wouldn't marry them because of their view of marriage. Here's what I mean by that. There's a whole generation coming up that views marriage as long as we're in love. As soon as we fall out of love, if we end the marriage, it's no big deal. Well, that's not marriage. Marriage is a covenant forever. It's supposed to. Please understand, I do understand there are some reasons why sometimes people divorce. I understand that. But clearly marriage is to be a covenant, that you stay together. I have a pastor that I know back east that would give anything to have this church back east. He's got a church of 2,000, I think it's actually about 2,500 now, or closer to 3,000. There's lots of young people in it, and he marries lots of young people, but he doesn't do any counseling, any premarital counseling with any of the couples that he marries. Now, see, some of you are going, that's not good. His success rate of couples that he marries runs about 98%. Doesn't see divorce hardly at all. I said he never does any counseling. But he takes, and if you're going to be married in his church, you have to make an agreement. You get a mentor couple that do all the work. The mentor couple is someone who's been married 30, 40, 50 years, however long. You have to agree that they do all the premarital counseling with you. And he gets notes from them saying, hey, here's what I see, here's the difficulties, here's the things I think are strengths. You have to agree to meet with them once a month, at least. Most couples meet more than that. You can't be related so that the older couple can't take sides, because you know how we do when you get a phone call from your daughter-in-law saying your son, or from your daughter saying your son-in-law's an idiot, and you're like, yeah, I know, I didn't think you should have married him in the first place. They can't be married, or can't be related so that they're honest. The other thing that this couple does is there's no topic that can't be discussed. None. Arguing, in-laws, finances, sex, anything. All of it can be discussed. And what he finds is, when they get with a couple that he sees have been married that long, they tend to start to look at things differently. They go back to realize that marriage is a covenant. Arizona is one of the few states in the nation that actually has a covenant marriage. You can make a decision if you want to go that way or just a standard thing. If you go through the covenant marriage, it has some some added things to it that if you decide to divorce, you got to go through a little bit more. You're required to go through counseling and some things like that. But we've forgotten that. Marriage is now sort of, well, however long. Let me just say this. If marriage is based upon being in love or falling out of love, most marriages have ended. Because occasionally we wake up or something happens in our marriage and we go, really tough to love the wife today. Or the husband, it's more often the wife looks at the husband and goes, really going to love him today, no matter what he does? Or it's a feeling. We have to make a choice to say, going to love him no matter what. That's what marriage is. Jesus said, I'm going to perform my first miracle at a wedding. And the best is yet to come. It's hard to tell someone when they first get married, it only gets better. But as far as I'm concerned, marriage only gets better. Because you think about it. The longer you're married, the less there is to learn. Especially for a guy. You know, the longer we're together, the more the manual we've figured out. We know that when our wife looks at us a certain way, we've done something, in her old church, my wife always sit in the front row. And I told people that she has a bulletin board on her head. Basically, what the bulletin board was for, it was, sort of like that thing that go across and you could see it. Basically, it would go across and say, you said something stupid. The problem is, I could never fix it because there wasn't a second thing that said, here's what you said. It was just, you said something stupid. So I just smile and go on real quick. So the longer we're married, the more we know our mates. We know them, and we don't need the manual quite. Marriage clearly is a miracle. Marriage also is from God. Man didn't create this. Man wasn't smart enough to create marriage. It's from God, so we have to look at God to figure out how he wants to look at it. So marriage is a wonderful thing. Here's Jesus at a wedding. He says, I'm going to perform the first wedding. They're going to perform my first miracle at the wedding. Marriage is such a neat thing. When we were in our church, we had 4 widowers that I had buried all their spouses, and one of those men, he was the last one to become a widower, and we spent lots of time. In fact, the flags that we put up for Veterans Day, those were all his flags. He'd given me a huge. I have flags of all the military and all kinds of things to display, and it was his, and so he was the last, and I was talking to him. We had coffee usually once a week or so, and we would talk, and I said, how's things going? I said, you just nonchalant we got. I said, you thinking about getting married again? He goes, oh, no. He said, I'm not going to get married again. He said, I was trained once, not going to be trained again. He said, 37 years in the military and 45 years of marriage, I'm not getting trained a second or third time. So I'm like, okay, no big deal. He starts to tell me how he really enjoyed the life he was having. He said, I never eat alone. He said, so-and-so brings me dinner on Monday. On Tuesday, I eat with this lady. On Wednesday, I come to church. He said, on Thursday, I eat with this lady. And he's going on about all the times. He's enjoying this. He's like, yeah. And I'm thinking, okay, no problem. And so a couple months later, my wife and daughter are up in Colorado, and me and my son are there alone, where Sunday morning church happens, and we're done, and he comes up, and this normal person he takes to dinner on that day come up and go, hey, you want to go have lunch with us? We're going to a place called the Mule Barn. It's one of those places where you get 5 pounds of food that put 10 pounds on your body, but it's great food. I mean, it's just, it was a former truck stop. The only real negative is the non-smoking area was like this, and this was the smoking area. So you also inhaled the smoke as you ate, but the food was working. So we went there, and we're eating, and we're sitting there, and he says, hey, you know why we invited you? Well, before I can say anything, Greg goes, yeah, Dad can't cook, which is not true. I can cook. And so, no, that's not why we invited you. And he said to me, I want you to marry us. You were not getting married just, 3 or 4 weeks ago. He just looked at me and said, God does some pretty amazing things. Unbeknownst to him and me, the lady he was going to marry had been praying for him for quite some time that he would become her husband. God's still in the miracle business. He still does miracles. And marriage is one of those. It is that wonderful thing. And so we see here, the very first public thing Jesus does to start out as a miracle at a wedding, at a marriage. Now there's a second thing that goes on here that I find kind of interesting, that I think sort of goes back to the Old Testament. The pastor has spoken on many times. If you're going to preach the gospel, you can't not mention this. You can't get to heaven without Jesus, and you can't work your way there, you don't have marriage to get there, you're not good enough to get there, any of those. It's interesting what they used to create the wine. If you remember, there were 6 stone water containers used for Jewish purification. Old Testament law. So you had to keep the Old Testament, and you had to do those things. All of a sudden, Jesus comes along and said, we don't need those anymore, we're going to do it differently. We're going to make new wine and give you the new covenant. Here again is a miracle. You think this is Jesus' first miracle, and it ends with his last miracle, which is what? Dying on the cross, being buried, and rising again. What a thing. It gives us the ability to know for sure that God has been pleased with his sacrifice. We can't do it. And so I think there's a picture here of the old and the new. The Old Testament, the old law being put away because the new's come. Think about it this way. When you go look at Matthew 9 and he's doing a parable about the wineskins. You can't put new wine into an old wineskin because it'll burst. Again, I think that's a picture from an analogy standpoint of the old and the new. They don't mix. See, we don't need sacrifice anymore. Could you imagine if on Sunday morning we came up and pastor's up here and he said, bring your lamb. And you had to bring a lamb up here, and we had people, and we went back to the sacrificial system. Most of us, and most would leave immediately. You're going to sacrifice anything? The old is put away. Don't need the old from that standpoint anymore. We have a new. Again, the best is yet to come, because in their scenario, Jesus was the best. He had taken away the law. Don't need the law anymore. It's gone. What a wonderful thing when you think about it. This is his first public ministry, and constantly he's giving them something better. First of all, he talks about the wedding, talks about the marriage. Then the picture he gives. And then they dip the water. I got to believe the servants were a little nervous. Maybe not, because they're told to dip the water and take it out to the people. Now, they know what they poured in there, and I suspect they stood around and watched the whole thing. Because nowhere in here does it say, and they poured in the mixture of wine, so that they could stir it up, and they just poured water into these large pots, and then dipped in and took it out. The miracle that they're taking wine out. They're going to take it out and give it to everybody that's there. A couple things just to ponder. This is also going to save face. Even if it's bad wine, it's going to save face with everybody who's there, because you didn't run out of wine. But that's not the case. They take the wine out there, they pour the wine, people start drinking the wine, and all of a sudden the master, the one in charge, the one there, drinks the wine. And he's like, wow, this is better than what you started serving, which is normally not the way you do it. You don't, normally you don't serve the good stuff at the end. And it may be because if the Bible says they drank freely, it may be because they drank too much. I don't think that's the case, because it doesn't say they're drunk, but it just says that they drank freely, they had been there a while, and now all of a sudden that he serves the best. Serves this wine, and it's the best that they've had yet. So much so that the master of ceremony says, wait a minute. Go get the bridegroom. Bring him back. But I want to know what's going on. I want to know what just happened. Why would you do this? See, this is sort of different than what they had expected. I think sometimes we forget that Jesus still does miracles. And we sometimes, when we see him do miracles, we forget, or we sometimes try to come up with different ways. One of the things I have found through the years is when I see something that I clearly believe had God's hand on it, some people will try to figure out, well, it didn't. Well, that can't be God. It's not possible. God would, God still does miracles. He still does amazing miracles. Baptism last week. Justin. 6 months clean. That is a miracle. I was astonished this week. I mean, I was just, to be honest with you, sort of shocked. I had to, for a moment, think. Someone had handed me their AA coin and it had an L on it. I knew what the Roman number L had meant. It's 50 years. I've never seen one of those. So I'm flipping the coin over looking for something else that gives me another clue, because 50 years of sobriety is like, that's a long time. But that's what God does. He still does miracles. He's still in it. And I think we need to be very careful of not recognizing that God still does those things. That we're not in the Old Testament, we're in the New. Think of it this way. Church of Grace is a miracle. Clearly it's a miracle. I talked to some pastor friends that I have, and we've talked a few times, and I tell them we found a church over here. Before we came, we went to several different churches, and they're like, what's the church like? I said, well, we're the nursery. They're like, what do you mean? I said, well, we're the youngest people in the church. If you're in a church outside of the uniqueness of Church of Grace and you tell somebody your average age is like 75 years old, their thought is, well, how much longer is the church going to exist? Because no pastor wants a church that has an average age of 75 or whatever the average age is. They don't. When you get a church that old, they're like, you're dead, dude. You're done. You're over. And then I started talking to him, and I said, yeah, they felt bad this year. And he said, well, what do you mean they felt bad? I said, well, the accountant figured it up, and they figured out that they'd only given away 66% of their money to outside helps. Any pastor you say, a church gave away 66% of their money, goes, you're lying. It's not possible. No church gives away 66% of their money. Because immediately, if you're a church, a normal church, you have a building. Let me just tell you this, buildings suck money. They're always asking for money. And then you have a staff, and staff always needs money, and then you got all these other things. I said, no, their goal is 70%. They're like, 70% of the wages, the offerings you bring in, you want to give away? I said, yep, that's what I want to do. I said, they have a heart to give and help. They're just amazed. Yeah, so am I. This is the most astonishing church I have ever seen. It is blessing to watch and see, and see what has come about from 4 couples and Pastor Myron, and this is just a true blessing. I believe it's a miracle. It just is. This church has no desire to have a building. Why would you? Building means someone's got to work on it. Isn't it nice to walk in here and have the chairs all set up? And in a normal church, you got to get there early and set everything up and do everything and take care of everything. This church is a miracle. And again, Jesus still doing miracles. Still doing them, still watching over it. It's just so fun to see this. The old is put away. Here's the new, it's Jesus. And then you have the master who basically said, why do you serve the best last? Pastor, the last couple of weeks has preached about how if you're a follower of Christ, you're a Christian, that it doesn't mean life's going to be easy. There's no doubt about that. I get letters from Gospel Association of Asia. And it's basically the persecuted church in that region. It's called the 1040. 40% of the population lives in 10% of the area of the world. And it's horrible the things that have when they stand up for their faith. I read one not too long ago of a pastor and his 2 sons that were burned alive in their car. Just because they followed Christ. That's the picture. That's the trouble. But see, the best is yet to come. We look at it and we go, man, there's a day when heaven's coming. When I first went into ministry, people would ask me, what do you think heaven's going to be like? And I would always say this, it's going to be a golf course. So it's going to be a golf course. I know it's going to be a golf course. And then I'd go and say, they like to, because I stopped playing golf, I don't know, several years ago when I had a herniated disc in my back and just haven't played in a long time. So why do you think it's going to be a golf course? I said, because, that's where me and my dad spent a lot of time. When we first got married, I played golf a lot. We bought a house, we lived 3 houses away from the 3rd hole. And so at 7 o'clock at night, I would be a wonderful father. I would grab my 2.5-year-old son, throw him in the wagon. I would grab his Tonka truck and his Tonka truck scooper, and I'd grab 100 golf balls, and I would grab my pitching wedge, and we would go to the 3rd hole. And I would throw him at one end of the sand trap with his Tonka truck and let him play. And then I would take 100 golf balls and throw them in the sand trap, and I would practice hitting on the sand trap. And then when we got all done, I would say to him, we're going to play another game. And he'd say, what's that, Daddy? I said, let's pick up the golf balls. He thought that was the greatest thing in the world. So we played a lot of golf. He loved playing golf, and I played golf with my dad. And so when you play a lot, you can get fairly decent at the game. And so I got a 3 handicap or so. The course we lived on, I could play mostly scratch, and so I got pretty effective at golf. I also like to gamble, so that made it even more interesting. So I played a lot of golf. I played in 3 leagues during the week, played in tournaments on the weekend, and just played a lot of golf. I played once a week with my dad. My dad did not get the golfing gene. I don't know where I got it from, but he didn't get it. My dad, we didn't even worry about handicap with Dad because it was, it was bad. I don't even remember why. Dad was a hacker. I could hit my 7-iron farther than he could hit his driver. I mean, it just was never good. But I loved playing golf with my dad. My dad since went to be with the Lord, and I miss that. Don't get to play golf, don't get to talk to my dad, don't get to see my dad, and a great deal of the values I hold to all come from Dad. And so we played golf a lot and played in a hacker situation, and we played in the league and had fun. And one Saturday afternoon, we decided to go golfing. And we went golfing together, and we came to the first hole. It was a par 5. And I birdied the hole. Dad gets a triple bogey. We were about where we ought to be. We come to the second hole. It's the 335-yard par 4. Short little dogleg in a pond in front of the green. And when we played with Dad, I didn't worry about who got to go first. If I got a cart, whatever, just Dad, you go. So when I played with Dad, Dad always hit first unless he didn't want to. So Dad hit his shot, and sure enough, right in front of the pond. So immediately, I put 3 more golf balls in the golf cart and 2 in my pocket, because I know it's going to take me 5 golf balls to get over this little pond. I just know what's going to happen. But I just birdied the opening hole, and I'm looking at the hole, and the tees are up front today. And I know that you got to hit the ball 270 feet to cross the water in the air. And I'm going, I wasn't quite so fat, much better shape, had a really good speed on my 3-wood. I said, I can clear the pond beyond the green in 2. So I get up there, and sure enough, 272 feet just over the pond, on the green, falls away, 10 feet away from the pin. I gotta tell you, I'm sort of walking around like, I'm pretty happy here. This doesn't happen very often. I played a lot of golf, never had a hole-in-one. It's always been my disappointment. Please don't tell me you've had a hole-in-one. But we're playing, and we get up there, and my cousin's with him. Cousin hits his ball down the fairway normally, and we're playing along. And we come up to the hole, and Dad jokingly says, "Gonna chip it over the green, or chip it over the pond right on the green." My cousin's wanting to laugh. I am laughing. It's not going to happen. My dad can't do it. It's just not going to happen. So I'm sitting there watching Dad, and Dad gets up and he takes his chipping wedge and he scalds it. I mean, as soon as he hits it, it's like, yeah, sure, I'm getting ready to get a ball out. But then I notice something. Scalds it, and I see it hit the water, but it's not one of those, poof, it's one of those, it skips. It skips a second time. It skips a third time, and it hits the bank. Oh no, Dad made it over the pond. Hits the bank, it's got a lot of topspin on it, goes over the bank, heads on the green, it's now on the green. I'm like, man, it can't get any worse. The ball keeps rolling towards the pin. I'm beginning to get nervous now. Ball falls in the cup. My dad just got a 2 on a par 4. I have a 10-foot putt to match it. That card was in our family forever because I missed the putt. On Dad's it says 2, on mine it says a 3. At the end of it, I think that day I shot like a 34, 35. Dad shot like a 70 on 9 holes. But that was still the greatest card in the world because I beat my son. I love that story because it reminds me of my dad. Reminds me of one of the funnest days we ever had. Just a great day to go play golf with my dad, who was horrible at the game. But he was so thrilled. Our next Monday when we went to golf league, he took the card. He's like, you know, everybody's going, is it true? You know, I couldn't lie. You know, I could have told him it wasn't true and they would have believed me, but I'm like, no, he actually did it. You know, I will say I was kind and didn't say he skipped it off the lot. So why in the world would you tell us all that story? It's one of the greatest, funnest times I had with my dad. But the best is yet to come. See, the miracle is this, I get to see him again. I don't know if there's a golf course in heaven. To be honest with you, I really don't care. Because here's what heaven is. I get to see Jesus. That, in and of itself, is a miracle. If you've ever just stopped, I sometimes think this way. I think to myself that the miracle of heaven. The miracle of sometimes when I get there, I know there's going to be people who I'm going to look at and go, you got to go to heaven? Really? And I know there's going to be people, they're going to go, and you got to go to heaven? And then, sadly, when I get to heaven, you're going to go, where are so-and-so? And then that I just get to go. It's a miracle. And so the miracle, the best is yet to come, is simply this. I get to see Jesus, but I know someday I get to see my dad again. And I don't care if he gets to play golf. I suspect this story has been told in heaven. If there is a golf course, I know unequivocally it's been told in heaven. He went to the video section and said, is there a video section? Let me pull the video. I got to have this when he comes here because I want this to be shown. And I don't know if there is or isn't. Here's what I know about heaven. It's a miracle because Jesus is there and we get to go. Revelation tells me there will be no pain, no sorrow. That is an exciting time. The best is yet to come. Amen? Amen. Amen.